how more we disconnect ourselves from who we really are, which creates like a hole inside of us. And because we now have this hole inside, we tend to surrender to distractions, addictions in any kind of form. High levels of stress, anxiety, depression, feeling empty, disconnected, isolated, lonely, which is kind of like a living hell on earth. So these are the demons that exist inside of us. Then of course the question, how can we find our way back home? That, my friends, is what the biggest challenge humanity currently has to face. Fighting your inner demons so you can actually step into your own light. You see, there's no darkness without the light. So the darkness is needed in order to find your light, right? Because there cannot be light without the darkness. So what exactly do I mean with that? You see, when I was in my 20s, everything was different than currently in my 30s. And I see a lot of people who are in the 30s who actually struggle with the same things. And in my 20s, everything was more about, forming my identity, showing others what I'm capable of. And during our teenage and childhood and teenage years, and also during our 20s, we kind of form our belief system, our blueprint, right? Our concept of reality. And what we see outside of us, the expectations from society and whatnot, they actually start to form our beliefs at how we should be, right? And what we should be doing and what we should be having. Should this, should that, you name it. So we form these expectations on, how we should be. And having these expectations disconnect us from the present moment, from who we really are. Because within the present moment you can of course truly experience your joy. Like, this is really who I am. This is really who I stand for, and what I want to do and how I want to be and what I want to share with the world. And because of all these, beliefs we put on ourselves, the expectations and whatnot, then eventually we start to live more in the future, right? Because this is what I should have and this is what I should accomplish and whatnot and stuff like that. And because we are very externally focused, we externalize everything, then again, we disconnect ourselves from who we really are. Peace, love, joy. And how more we start to focus on externalizing our perception of reality, how more we disconnect ourselves from who we really are, which creates like a hole inside of us. And because we cannot fill up this hole, we start to deal with feelings of loneliness, isolation, separation, depression, stress, worries, anxieties. Because we are living on these expectations that we cannot meet. Expectations we put on ourselves from society, from others and whatnot, which actually becomes like a false fulfilling prophecy. And because we now have this hole inside ourselves, we tend to surrender to distractions, addictions in any kind of form, right? Could be, overeating, forms of entertainment, playing video games, Netflix, movies, whatever. But these addictions can also become very, very, very out of alignment. Alcohol, sex, drugs, you name it. Because we cannot fill up this emptiness inside of us. And then we feel highly disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from others. And that's how we lose ourselves in isolation, which is kind of like a living hell on earth. So these are the demons that exist inside of us. Then of course the question, how can we find our way back home? Face these demons that exist inside of us, Face these demons, go through the darkness, so we can step into our light. That, my friends, is what the biggest challenge humanity currently has to face, is to look within, to see what kind of beliefs they have about themselves, about who they should be and what they should be having and what not. Let me give you a very practical example, because during my 20s I already had like 2 careers I've been through, and I was still not fulfilled, I was still not happy, I was still not satisfied, and I was dealing with high levels of stress, anxiety, depression, feeling empty, disconnected, isolated, lonely. So then I started to embrace the journey to figure out, what kind of limited beliefs do I have about myself that I need to face, that I need to go through, in order to find that thing that makes me feel connected with the present moment, where I can find my joy, my instant satisfaction for just doing the thing that I want to do. I wanted to do something that excites me from just doing the thing. And that's basically kind of like, first of all, if you go and face your inner demons of doubts, anxieties, stress, worries, whatnot, these limited beliefs that, you started to develop from a very young age. If you face these demons, if you go through the darkness, if you go through the tunnel, because at the end of the tunnel there's always light, and that light of course exists inside of you. If you go through the tunnel and to find that thing that really makes you alive, that thing that makes you satisfied in the very moment you're just doing the thing, create for the joy of simply creating, and that's about it. It is like, you are cleansing, you are purifying your bucket of water, your state of being, your state of feeling, your entire, sense of inner self. If you start to clarify that, purify that, the water that is inside the bucket that is, dirty perhaps because of your limited beliefs, if you start to purify that, then eventually your bucket of water becomes clear, pure water, right? Pure light, love, consciousness that eventually start to flow over by you just doing your thing. So that, of course, the biggest question: how can you, find out what is your thing? And what I figured for myself over the last years, I did not have an instant answer. I had tiny little glimpses, and then again my mind kicks in, my logical mind kicks in, my ego kicks in. No, you cannot have it. No, how is that going to support you? No, how is that going to make you money? No, you cannot do that, because how is that going to do this or that, So I also had to go through all these limited beliefs to see what is inside of me that is holding me back to step into my own light, to step into my own personal power. Is to let my inspiration flow, is to accept myself and allow it to happen, make it happen and allow it to happen, let it flow. That is, of course, like navigating your way back home, Go and walk through the tunnel, go over all these obstacles, but you gotta go and take action, consistent action. So you gotta have this resilience, this persistence to keep on going. Go and face another demon, go and face another fear, doubt, anxiety, because eventually if you go through all of them, eventually you become limitless. There are no more limited beliefs, maybe tiny little ones, but they are tiny little that is not really going to hold you back anymore. And eventually you're going to create something that actually didn't have any kind of job description, because you have created it yourself that feels right for you by just doing that thing. That, my friend, is exactly, what I want to share on this YouTube channel, is to find your way back home, is to realign with yourself, with who you really are, is to realign yourself with, who you want to be, who do you choose to be, what is that you want to share with the world, is to find your inner light, is to step into your own personal power, into your flow of inspiration. Go and deal with, become aware of all your limited beliefs. It is always ask yourself, what I currently experience, the circumstances I currently experience, these are always a result of what I've created myself. And what you create are, of course, an outcome of your actions, your behaviors, and your actions are always coming from your thoughts and, of course, your feelings. And most of that, of course, are coming from a very unconscious level. So your job is always to reflect back, like, okay, so what I'm currently going through, my circumstances, my outcome, my manifestations, that's always a result of your actions, your behaviors, which is coming from your internal state. So it's always very important to give yourself the time, to give yourself a moment to reflect what's currently inside of you. And it's very challenging to go and reflect when you're constantly busy and hustling and hassling, and you're just getting lost of all the busyness and the craziness of your daily life. So it's very important to go and take a step back in order to step up. Go and spend time in nature, because nature can help you to realign yourself with the present moments, which is kind of like a leapfrog, to doing the personal self-reflection, mindfulness work, which can work, of course, very well if you learn to do this in nature itself. It can help you to connect again with the present moment, where you can get a glimpse of your sense of inner peace, when you can step above all the mind chatter that's currently going on. And that's why I make these videos. So if you find these videos helpful and you want more of these, then please let me know. And I will be very happy to continue making these videos for you, because I love and enjoy making these videos in nature. Chapeau, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in one of my next videos. Take care for now. Bye bye.